What's good, friends? I'm the one they call Loser, and you're watching Just a Slow Loser. Welcome to the very first episode of Listen to Loser, tutorial series inspired by games I've already played or am currently playing. This is a tutorial series that it may not always be a game editor program that I'm doing the tutorial on. It could be a Photoshop tutorial of something that I saw in the game that I think looks really cool. Or it could be something in, I don't know, the Steam Skyrim creation kit. Just little things. It could be a range of different programs. Today's tutorial is inspired by none other than Banjo Kazooie. Specifically, the power pads in Banjo Kazooie. And if you don't know what those are, watch this little clip from the Loser Play episode of the Banjo Kazooie series that I'm already doing. And if you're interested, press the little eye icon in the top right corner to watch that series. This tutorial will be here for later, or vice versa. Watch the tutorial and then go watch that. Either way, you should watch both. Woohoo! Ooh, we get to do this. You'll reach new heights with my shock jump spring. Does Kazooie do it? My legs are tired. Don't worry, the turkey does all the work. Simply stand on the shock jump disc, then press and hold A. Nice going, you've learned all the Cove's new moves. Whee! See, now that you've seen the video, I'm going to be making a tutorial basically to teach you how to have power pads of some sorts in RPG Maker MV. Basically, you'll walk over the power pads and you'll press Z to activate, and you'll have this power, but it only lasts for a short amount of time. Because I think that's an idea that can be used and has been used in games. I'm gonna move these out of the way. They're all gonna go away. I made a test of it beforehand, before making the video, so this is what the test looks like. Actually, I'll show you in game what it's supposed to look like. Alright, so I'm gonna do a play test. Yeah, no one cares about that default music. So basically, I walk over this. You guys see the timer in the top right corner. I see this cracked wall. I'm like, oh, well, I have super strength now. So I broke a hole through the wall. Now I can explore it as if it's a cave. Basically, it's just a little idea. You can give your characters in your RPG games temporary powers, and they can use those powers to quickly interact with the world around them to shape it. And I think that's a really cool idea that can be used far more than it is used in Banjo Kazooie. So basically, I'm going to get rid of all three of these events, so I can take you through the process again. Now, this process, at some point, I'm going to be opening Photoshop. I have it already open on the side. I have a project open and ready on the side, but I'm going to be opening Photoshop. And if you guys don't have Photoshop, that's fine. You don't need it. You can use GIMP. It's a free software. I'll include the link to GIMP in the description. You done? I'll include a link to GIMP in the description because it's a free program if you want to edit stuff and like pictures and stuff, but you don't have money to be able to buy Photoshop. I'm also going to link it in the description to the Adobe website, because you can actually get Photoshop just on a $9.99 plan a month. You can have Photoshop, and that's pretty damn cheap if you ask me. Anyways, enough of the jibble jabble. We're gonna get right into it. First things first, we want to create the power pad. We want the power pad to look cool, so I'm gonna go down to, I think, crystals. Yeah. Sorry, I have a lot. I transferred everything from an RPG Maker project I already have over to this project, so your default project won't look like this. If you're new, you'll have much less. But crystals is default. It's something that comes with the default project. I'm going to try to use default resources that come with the main thing as of right now when I do tutorials. If I use another thing, it'll probably be somebody else's resource, and I'll usually link wherever I got the resource in the description of the video. So look at the descriptions. There'll be lots of stuff there. So I'm going to use the red because red usually signifies strength, and I want this to give the character super strength. and now I want it to be below the character, because if you make it the same as the character, then they can't step on it. If you make it above the character, then they go underneath of it when they step on it. I want them to be able to step on it, so below the character. And the last one I had activated through touch. I'm actually going to have this one activated through the action button. They will do basically the same thing. If you can make the trigger action or player touch. Either are fine, but one of those two. First things first, we want to turn on a switch. I have 3 switches right here: strength, cape close, and cape open. You guys might want to name your switches more specifically, like name it whatever the map is, like map 01 strength pad, something like that. That way naming them is very important, and naming them specific. This is a tutorial, so I don't need to name them super specific, but naming them specific related to the map that they're going to be used on, or specific to how they're going to be used or where they're going to be used, is very important, because it keeps you organized. So I'm going to name that one that, and we want that to be turned on. So that's going to turn on, and as of right now that does absolutely nothing. It just turns on a switch, a very pointless switch. We're going to have a sound effect play, because obviously, you know, we want sound effects so the player knows something happened. Last time I used the darkness one. I think I'm just gonna go with absorb for this one. So we're gonna have that absorb sound effect so the player knows something happened. I'll throw in some text too. You feel overwhelmed with strength. If I could type. Oh, I don't think I spelled overwhelmed right. We're gonna make this a dim at the bottom. Sure. You feel overwhelmed with strength. And then we want to turn on the timer. And the timer basically makes it so that when the timer runs out, we're gonna make it for 30 seconds, even though they could probably do it in 10. Actually, we'll leave it at 10. When the timer runs out, the player will no longer have the strength switch will no longer be on, and the strength switch is what's going to be controlling any events that get activated via the strength, and I'll show you guys that a little bit later. And the very last one for the first window for this event is going to be a self switch. We're going to turn on self switch A. Then we're going to make a new event, and I'm not going to get into super detail about what each of the what each of these events, like switches and timers and self switches, are, because I assume you guys know the basics, and if you don't, there are plenty of people who do basic tutorials to go over the basics of RPG Maker. If you guys would like me to do a basics tutorial, I would love to, but you guys just need to let me know in the comments. Alright, so the second tab is going to be a conditional branch. We're going to start with a conditional branch if the timer is at 0, so we want it less than. If you don't know less than or greater than signs, that's fine. Hold up your left hand and make an L, and if the L will be facing the same way as the less than sign. That's how they teach it in kindergarten. And not kindergarten, they don't learn that in kindergarten, but that's how they teach it in elementary school. It's fine if you don't know don't know the difference. But that's just, if you don't know, there you go. Little tip. It's cool if you don't know. We all have moments. And if it's 0, then we're going to turn this strength pad switch, turn it off. We're also going to make a sound. We're going to add a sound effect, even though I didn't have that before. We're going to add a sound effect just so you know that it's gone. I think by default, I'm just going to have it be. By default, I'm just gonna have it be the cancel at 50% pitch. Yeah, that's fine. We're gonna have it that way we know that it's no longer there. And then we're gonna turn the timer off. And if you don't turn the timer off, the timer will just stay there at the top right corner, looking dumb at 0. So we're gonna go down to control timer. We're gonna go down to stop, so the timer stops. Whatever the timer is, it's gonna stop. And then we're going to turn self switch A off and turn on self switch B. And self switch B is going to essentially be the same exact. It's going to be all of this. So we're going to highlight click the top one, shift and hold the last one, and then press Control C. That's how you copy. And then we're going to do a new window, and we want this one to be controlled through self switch B. So we're going to press Control V and paste it. The only difference is at the very bottom we're going to add Control self switch B off. That way when it activates again, it'll turn self switch B off. Because if you don't have self switch B turned off when you turn on A, it's just going to be a bunch of mess. It's just going to be a mess. So the last thing we want to do is I'm going to quickly add the power pads images to each of these, and then we're done with this event. One thing I forgot to mention, press the stepping animation, and that way it's not just a frozen image and it actually moves. Unless the image that you're using is this one, and it's just a standing still image, then you don't need to press the stepping animation, but I'm going to be pressing it because I need it on. And now we're done with this event. It's beautiful, and we're gonna make, no, not that. We're gonna go over here to make the actual crack in the wall. The first thing we're gonna do is start making a new event, and we're gonna press conditional branch, and we want this one if the strength switch is on. If the strength switch is on, something's gonna happen, else something else happens. So in the else one, we're just gonna make a text and say nothing. We're gonna make a text that says there is a crack in the side of the cliff. There we go. So now if the switch is off, that's what it will say. Else it's going to do what we want it to do. So if it's on, we're going to have a sound effect play. First of all, play sound effect. I want this one to be Earth. Where's Earth? There it is. We're just gonna have it be Earth 1. Actually, I think I changed the pitch when I made mine. Yeah, I like that. Now, at first, when I was making it, I had it with 2 additional switches. Those are the switches you saw at the beginning of the tutorial with cave close and cave open. Basically, I was going to use those switches, and then I was going to use Yanfly's grid-free doodads. And if you want to do it that way, I can't do it that way because for some reason the grid-free doodads won't save, and I'm still trying to figure out why it's doing that and fixing the issue. But as of right now, I can't use the doodads. But if you're going to use the doodads, make sure you download the extended doodads pack. There's an extended doodad pack that makes it so the doodads will be activated via switches. So if you want to do it this way, make a cracked wall and a open cave wall, and basically make it so the cracked wall is attached to the cave close switch, and the open wall is attached to the cave open switch, and have the cave close switch on by default. That's the way I was going to do it, but I can't get it to work. And if I do manage to fix it, I might make an update video with the doodads version of this video. But basically, I just wanted to show you guys that real quick. If you understood anything I said, awesome, you should do it that way. It might be easier. If not, that's fine. Just follow along with the rest of the video. This way works perfectly fine as well. So after we play the sound effect, we're gonna turn a self switch A on, and we're gonna make a new event page. We're gonna have self switch A. And self switch A doesn't need to do anything. It's just gonna be a cave in the wall. And I know we need the images. I'm gonna quickly hop over to Photoshop, and this is gonna be the Photoshop section of it. In Photoshop, you're gonna want to. I already have the canvas size. Basically, when you make a character sheet, you want it to be it's going to be 3 wide, 3 48 pixel size squares wide, and then it's going to be 4 down. It doesn't necessarily have to be the 48 pixels. If the image you're using is bigger than 48 pixels, just make sure it's 3 of those images to the side and then 4 of those images down. I separate mine with the grids. I'm going to quickly show you guys how to do that. You want to go to View, Show, and then click Grid, and then go over to Edit, down to Preferences, and then go to Guides, Grids, and Slices. As soon as this wants to load. And then in the guides, grids, and slices in the grid section, make it every 48 pixels and make the subdivision 1. That's all you got to do, and then you'll see this beautiful thing, and you can toggle it on and off at will. And after you have that open, we're gonna load the tile set that is directly from the actual game. So we're gonna go down to games, Banjo Kazooie tutorial, image, tile sets, and I believe it is Dungeon B. That's the one we want, Dungeon B. We're gonna open that in a separate window, in a separate project. So after you open that, you want to take the little dotted line box tool. I don't know the official names. I just what's the official name? Hey, you don't want to show me? Fine. I didn't want to know. So I'm going to use these three. So we're going to drag it, and the reason why I have the lines on is because it attached. Make sure you have snap to toggled on in the view as well. So we're going to highlight this box. We'll go back over to the move tool and move it over here. Like that. Voila. And then just want to angle it so it's, there we go. So it's in its proper square. And then we'll do the same thing with this one. Then we're gonna grab the move tool. We're gonna move over here. Then we're going to angle it so it's in the box. Looking beautiful. Awesome. And then after that, you're done. So you want to go to File, Export, and I'm going to do quick export as PNG because that's all I really need. And then you'll go to Documents or wherever you have your game saved. Go to your game. You want to go to the Images and Characters. And when you save it, just make sure you have the exclamation point and the money sign. And the exclamation point, that basically makes it so when you actually click on the square, it'll highlight the square instead of like a tiny little dot or just the 48 pixel. Basically, you have to tell the game, hey, this is right. This is a different image. It's bigger than it should be. That way it still reads it. So I already have it saved, as you can see, so I'm not going to save it again. Press cancel. And that's all you need this for. You can save it as a PSD if you want. I usually save mine as PSDs just so if I want to come back and edit per layer, I can. You don't have to though. So now we're gonna hop back over to RPG Maker. We're gonna click the images, and we're gonna go down to the bottom where our crack should be. Our crack, wherever it may be. There we go, crack. So this is where our crack should be. We have this one and this one. We're gonna click on this one and press OK. Now that's that. We want to go down again, and then we want to, where is it? I have too much shit. Click on this one, press OK, and that's that. Apply. And now we're going to run a playtest. Save changes. No one likes your default music, okay? So we're going to go over this. You feel overwhelmed with strength, and now we have 10 seconds to get over here and boom, crack a hole in the wall. And that basically, it's a nice, cool idea you can add to your game. You can make it so the player themselves can shape and shift the world around them via these little power pads, or you can have them as little tablets they can eat, and the food themselves can give them these powers for a few seconds, and they can use these powers to do something in your game. It's a nice idea you guys can explore for any games you make in RPG Maker, or if you make games in Unity or any other sort of game making program. It's a nice, cool idea. That timer is still there, ain't it? I forgot to say, in this, when you have that happen, to turn off the timer. I forgot to add that, I'm sorry. Add the timer stop. That way the numbers go away. And to show you guys real quick, I'm not going to show you that the numbers went away. I want to show you what happens when we go talk to the wall. When we go interact with the wall without our little power pad. there's a crack in the side of the cliff. See? And then if we go over here, you feel overwhelmed with strength. We're going to let the timer run out. Oh no, I don't know what to do. Oh no! Oh no! See, the timer ran out. So, and if the numbers are still there, another thing, this is very important too. This is very important too. The reason why the numbers didn't go away, nothing happened because I made this so it's also an action button. Make event number 2 a parallel. That is really important. It's easy to miss those. It's fine if you miss them. But basically, you want to make it a parallel. That way, it's always this event page will always be running. And the moment that the timer hits 0, all this will happen, and then it'll switch back over to you need to walk on it and activate it. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. That's actually super important, or else it won't work. So that's everything for this tutorial. If you're having any issues, make sure to comment below. And I'll see what I can do to help fix your issue. If there's any other things from the loser plays that you've seen before that you would like me to teach you how to do in Photoshop or RPG Maker or Unity or any of those things, make sure to comment below and tell me what it is, and tell me from which game it is, and I'll definitely add it to the roster of tutorials that I'm going to be doing for the Listen to Loser series. Now, Listen to Loser will be airing I believe I have it on my schedule as every Friday. I'll double check, but it will be airing either Thursday, Friday, or Saturday every single week, once a week. So make sure to stay tuned. There will be lots more tutorials on lots more programs. The next one I probably will do will be in Photoshop. I have an idea of what I want it to be, so stay tuned to see what that is next week. And remember to tell your friends how much you love them. I love you losers, but don't you dare forget to tell them how much of a loser they are. If you're doing this the grid-free doodad way, make sure to have a separate event, parallel program, as a cave close switch on as soon as you start your game.